Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to this presentation on how to use spaced repetition for Quran memorization. This is a technique to reduce effort and improve retention. So the first point to realize is that most of Quran memorization is revision. Maybe you spend 10 or 20% of your time memorizing new pages when memorizing the Quran, and the other 80 to 90% of your time is spent revising what you have already learned. And this is the way that you have to do it. A lot of people, they don't realize this. They neglect revision, and so they end up claiming to have memorized the whole Quran, but when you ask them to recite any portion of the Quran, they say, "Oh, I don't know it. I need to revise. My revision is weak, etc." Uh, they're Hafiz only in name, but they cannot actually recite any Quran. And this is obviously not a result that we're looking for. So to become a proper Hafiz, to properly memorize the Quran, revision is the most important thing. So how is Quran revision usually scheduled? It's usually similar to a system where you have a portion of new memorization that you do every day, maybe half a page or 1 page or 2 pages. Maybe you have a medium portion of daily review. So maybe the last 10 or the last 20 pages that you've memorized, you recite every day. And then the remainder is revised maybe once, twice a month. So for example, if you had 100 pages memorized, maybe you would have, let's say, one new page of memorization. So you memorize one new page. Let's say the last 15 pages you would recite every day, and then the remainder you would revise maybe. So the remaining 85 pages, etc., you would split into maybe 15 equal portions, and you'd read one portion every day, finishing them, twice a month, for example. This method, uh, it works because they has this clever idea of focusing on newer memorization, because newer memorization is usually weaker and it needs more focus, while older memorization is stronger and can usually be revised less frequently. And it's a decent amount of revision. It's a good revision to memorization ratio. However, one weakness of this method is that it only focuses on the pages that are weak because they have been recently memorized, but it doesn't focus on pages that are weak for other reasons. Either they have a lot of mutashabihat, a lot of ayat that are similar to other parts of the Quran, or perhaps they have maybe maybe you're just emotionally more in touch with some pages, so those pages are easier for you, or maybe some pages are more easy for you because you've recited them a lot, like Surah Al-Kahf. So you have some parts of the Quran that are easy for you, some parts of the Quran that are hard for you. But this method, they treat all of the easy pages the same, all of the hard pages the same, which means that the easy pages are revised maybe too often, resulting in more time spent on revising them than necessary. And the hard pages are revised not often enough, meaning that you always have portions of the Quran that are not 100% solid when you use the classic Quran revision method. And so, one proposal is to use software enhanced revision. We can use software to track ease and difficulty of each page. So the way it works is that after each page is reviewed, the student is asked to rate the difficulty of the page. And this information is used to automatically schedule future reviews. Thus, easy and difficult pages are identified regardless of cause of difficulty, with its recency, similarity, frequent reading, etc. So because of this, difficult pages are reviewed more often, resulting in fewer mistakes on those difficult portions of the Quran, and easy pages are reviewed less often, resulting in time savings and less time needed to perform the Quran revision necessary. Okay, so now that we have talked about the theoretical aspect and the theoretical idea of using software to more efficiently schedule Quran revision, let's talk about how to do this in practice. So in practice, we can do this using a software called Anki. Anki is software used for revision scheduling. It doesn't matter which field. It could be Quran, it could be science, it could be social studies, it could be, math, etc. Anki is just used for revision scheduling, and it doesn't care what type of knowledge you're studying with it. The way Anki works is that information that you want to review is formatted as questions and answers. And what Anki will do is it'll show you the question, and then in your head, you're going to try to think of the answer. And then it'll show you the answer, and it'll ask you to rate the difficulty of the answer. Did you get it wrong? Did you get it right? If you got it right, was it easy? Was it hard? Or was it, good, just right? And then it collects this information for each question and answer, each bit of information, and then uses a computer algorithm to schedule revisions based on your ratings. Anki is used heavily in medical education and language learning. So US medical students, a lot of them use Anki to pass their exams, and language learning. So you don't see it used that much amongst Arabic learners, but you see it used a lot by, for example, Japanese learners, Korean learners, and a few other languages use Anki heavily, and they manage to efficiently review tens of thousands of facts by just focusing on those that are most difficult for them. So the first thing we need to do is we need to download Anki. Anki is free on Android, Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. Basically, it's free on Android and on laptops and desktops. But if you're on the iPhone or on the iPad, then Anki will cost you £25 or $25, or an equivalent amount of money inside whichever currency you're using from the Apple Store. So to download it, you can go to this link, apps.ankiweb.net, and you click on download. And if you want Windows, it has a link here for Windows. For Mac, it has the Intel and Apple Silicon versions. Linux is over here. iPhone is over here, and Anki for iPhone is paid, of course. And for Android, you can get it over here. So whatever device you're using, there is a version of Anki that you can use for it. You also need to create an account on AnkiWeb to sync your reviews. So just click over here, go to ankiweb.net, and put in your email, put in a password, sign up. It's going to send you a verification email, same as signing up for any other account. And then once you've done that, what you want to do is you want to open up Anki, and it's going to look something like this. And you're going to have, it's just going to be empty, 00000, empty, default, whatever. And the first thing you want to do is you want to click sync, and you want to put in your Anki username, your email, actually, and your password over here. And you'll be able to sync your progress to the cloud, to AnkiWeb. And that way, and you should constantly do this, so that way, if your device is ever, it ever gets lost, or gets destroyed, or something else happens to it, all of your progress will be saved to the cloud, and you can just set up a new device and start using it on the new device without losing any progress. And it's also good if you sometimes want to use Anki on your laptop, and sometimes want to use Anki on your phone, so you can just sync and sync the progress between your laptop and your phone, so that everything is up to date. So it's important to create the AnkiWeb account and to sync, add your username, password, and to constantly sync your data to AnkiWeb whenever you make any progress. Okay, next we need to set up Anki for Quran revision. So Anki flashcard decks for the old and new Medina Musaf formats can be downloaded from the following link. The Old Medina Musaf is for people who memorized the Quran maybe 20 years ago, and they want to keep on using the same format that they memorized from. But if you're someone who just, recently started memorizing the Quran, you're probably using the New Medina Musaf. Um, so let's just click over here. Because as I said before, Anki is generic for all types of knowledge. And what we want is we want to use it specifically for the Quran. So what we do is we just scroll down to the bottom and we download this flashcard deck for Anki, this file that's going to load the Quran into Anki. And then we're going to go to Anki over here. We're going to click on import file. And here, over here, we'll click the Holy Quran, import, and everything is imported. And now we have the Quran over here, which is great. But as we can see over here, there is a bit of a problem that we still have 20 new cards. So it's asking us to memorize 20 pages a day. This is obviously a ridiculous amount. It's because these are just generic settings. So we want to use some settings that are better suited for memorizing the Quran. And those settings are right here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go over here. We want to go to options, and we want to create a preset. And let's make a preset called Quran over here. And click OK. And then we want to save that. So what we want to do is we want to set new cards per day to 1. Let's set maximum reviews a day to 40. It's harder to review more than 40 pages a day. Under display order, set new review order over here to show after reviews. And what you also want to do is you want to turn this, so this by default will be off, FSRS, so you want to turn FSRS on. And once a month, not right now, but after you use it for a month, every month you just want to come here and hit optimize over here. And this is just going to optimize this algorithm. FSRS is just the algorithm used to schedule your revision optimally. So let's save that. And then another thing that I like to do is just go to preferences and go to review and just the show next review time above answer buttons. I prefer to hide it because it's kind of distracting while you're reviewing. So let's just uncheck that. And now all of the settings are ready and good to go. So now we're all set up. But now how do we actually review with Anki? Well, Anki shows you how many new cards you have in blue and revision cards in red and green. Some of them are called learning cards and some of them are called review cards, but the red and green are both basically revision. So open Anki once a day and be sure to clear out all of your revision cards. Do all of your revision cards. This is very important. So Anki works by scheduling revisions, future revisions for certain days. And the way you use Anki is that you have to open Anki every day and see which pages you have to review for that day. And so you shouldn't skip days with Anki because it messes up the algorithm and it causes reviews to pile up. And if you're skipping days with Anki too often, it's not going to work out for you. Um, so, and over here, if we look at Anki, we have 1 new card and 0 learn and do because we just added this deck, so it's brand new. So obviously, there's nothing to review yet because you didn't learn anything yet, right? You just have a new card. However, I have another profile prepared that has some cards that you can, that has a better example of how Anki might look after using it for a few days or a few weeks. So let's switch to that to get a better idea of how this will work. I'll just switch to a new profile over here. I'm gonna have this deck Quran and Kareem over here, and there are 8 revision pages, and there's one new page over here. Perfect. So how does this work? Basically, so let's just finish going over this. That these 8 revision cards I should do, I must do. This is how I can work. These are obligatory cards that I have to do every day. But over here, this is a new card. This blue card is a new card. And it's up to me whether I want to do it or not, depending on the schedule that I choose for myself. So one schedule that I like to recommend is, maybe doing 2 new cards a week. For example, on the weekends, uh, so for example, on Saturday I can do 1 page, Sunday I could do 1 page, and then during the weekdays while I'm working or whatever, I don't have time. So on the weekdays I'll do revision only, and on the weekends I'll do 2 cards a week, 1 on each day. And if you do that, you'll memorize the Quran in 6 years, and you only have to work, you only have to memorize new pages on the weekends. If you do 1 new card a day, you'll memorize the Quran in less than 2 years. In like maybe, I think it's like 1 year and 8 or 9 months, something like that. But the workload will be quite high. So for every page that you're doing a day, you can expect up to 20 pages of revision to show up every day. So if you're doing 1 page a day, then you have to revise maybe 20 to 30, you could say, pages a day. Whereas if you're doing only 2 pages a week, that's like maybe it's gonna be like a third of the workload. Maybe you'll have, maximum 10 pages of review a day, which is a lot easier than 20 to 30 pages of review a day. Maybe even sometimes it'd be like 7, 8 pages of review a day, which is a lot more manageable, and it's a lot easier to stay consistent that way. And one of the big things with Anki is that you have to be super consistent. You have to open it every day. If you start skipping days too much, it's not going to work. Um, and so I would recommend starting with a lighter workload, and you can increase the workload after a couple of months if you find it too light. So if I want to skip the new card for today, what can I do? I can just go into options, and then I want to click on today only over here. So I have the today only option, and I can set new cards to 1 to 0, for example, and I can save it. And if I do that, you'll notice the new card went away, and I only have a revision for today. So on the days where I only want to do revision, then that's what I do to get rid of the new cards. And on the days, for example, it's a weekend and I want to do my page, then by default you're gonna have the 1 card over here showing. But in case it's not showing and you want to bring it back, just go into the options, go to today only over here. So don't make sure it's not preset. Make sure it's not today only. Don't want to mess with the preset. Set it to 1, save, and now the new card has come back for Al Quran Al Kareem. Um, and so how exactly? Okay. And so what exactly do we have to do? And let's just go to the next slide over here. And yeah, Anki will bring you the last few lines from the previous page. You have to test yourself by reciting the next page and the first few lines from the following page. And you can do this in one of multiple ways. You can use an app like Tertil.ai to test yourself using AI. And I'll show you. So you can go to Tertil.ai. Their website is Tertil.ai. You can go there to download something like Tertil.ai. I'll just show you quickly how to use it right now. You can use a voice recorder, a recording app, which is, I think it's pretty obvious how to do that. You record your recitation, then you play it back and see if you made any mistakes. You can have a friend test you, or you can test yourself with the page open but not looking at it, kind of double checking if you have any doubt. So let me show you how I would do it with Tartil.ai. So let's open Anki. Let's click on the deck and let's click on Study Now. And what Anki has done is it's brought me the last few lines of the previous page. قالت رسلهم في الله شك فاطر السماوات والأرض يدعوكم يغفر لكم من ذنوبكم ويغفركم إلى أجل مسمى قالوا إن أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا تريدون أن تصدونا عما كان يعبد آباؤنا فأتونا بسلطان مبين. So what I'll do is I'll open Tartil and I have Tartil open here. And what you do is with Tartil, you just start reciting. So they have a memorization mode and they have, you know, anyways, have memorization mode. They have a free accounts. They have paid accounts. All of the details on that you can find on Tartil.ai, their website. And you can start reciting from any part of the Quran. قالوا إن أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا تريدون أن تصدونا عما كان يعبد آباؤنا فأتونا بسلطان مبين. قالت لهم رسلهم إن نحن إلا بشر مثلكم ولكن الله يمن على من يشاء. I just want to pause over here to draw attention to the fact that I made a mistake. So this is important because if you make any mistakes on the page, it means that the page is not strong enough and you have to revise it. So let's just keep in mind over here that I made a mistake on this page. Okay, let's continue. قالت لهم رسلهم إن نحن إلا بشر مثلكم ولكن الله يمن على من يشاء من عباده وما كان لنا أن نأتيكم بسلطان إلا بإذن الله وعلى الله فليتوكل المؤمنون وما لنا ألا نتوكل على الله وقد هدانا سبلنا ولنصبرن على ما آذيتمونا. Here's another point that if you start AI is not perfect. Here, I recited it fine, but it didn't hear the dal. So that's not really a mistake. So I just removed that mistake. So AI is not perfect, but it's, if you don't have someone to test you, you get the job done. وما لنا ألا نتوكل على الله وقد هدانا سبلنا ولنصبرن على ما آذيتمونا وعلى الله فليتوكل المؤمنون وقال الذين وعلى الله فليتوكل المتوكلون وقال الذين كفروا لرسلهم لنخرجنكم من أرضنا أو لتعودن في ملتنا فأوحى إليهم ربهم لنهلكن الظالمين ولنسكننكم الأرض من بعدهم ذلك لمن خاف مقامي وخاف وعيد واستفتحوا وخاب كل جبار عنيد من ورائه جهنم ويسقى من ماء صديد يتجرعه ولا يكاد يسيغه ويأتيه الموت من كل مكان وما هو بميت ومن ورائه عذاب غليظ مثل الذين كفروا بربهم أعمالهم كرماد اشتدت به الريح في يوم عاصف لا يقدرون مما كسبوا على شيء ذلك هو الضلال البعيد ألم تر أن الله خلق السماوات والأرض بالحق إن يشأ يذهبكم ويأتي بخلق جديد وما ذلك على الله بعزيز. Okay, just another point over here. So remember, I just want to point out over here that we recited this page, but we also recited the beginning of the next page, 2 or 3 lines from the beginning of the next page. And this is important just to ensure that you're able to tie the different pages together. So now that I've recited this page, I made a few mistakes, right? I made maybe two, three, four mistakes. It's obvious that this page is, it's not perfect. It's like good, but it's not perfect. It needs revision. And so, if you make any mistake, then what you should put is you should click on again, and you should fail it and mark it as again. So that's basically how you test it. Okay, over here, Surah Al-Fatiha. I mean, that's super easy. I don't even really have to test myself. I could use Tertil as well for this, for example, maybe. So, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Anyways, so that's super easy. So over here, no mistakes, super easy. I mean, there was a mistake on Tertil, but that's an AI mistake. It's not, I didn't actually make a mistake over there. Matla Surah Al-Baqarah, the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, that's another easy one. So let's say I did it. We know for this one, it's important to do the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah and the first few ayat from the next page as well. So I mean, let's do it, or okay, let's do it. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alif Lam Mim. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون الذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون إن الذين كفروا سواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة ولهم عذاب عظيم. And so the answer, and obviously I got this and a couple of lines for the next page as well, just to show that I'm able to tie the pages together. And so this is very good. This is also easy. Okay, over here. Okay, this is typical. This is more typical. So you have this, الذين استجابوا لربهم الحسنى والذين لم يستجيبوا له لو أن لهم ما في الأرض جميعا ومثله معه لافتدوا به أولئك لهم سوء الحساب ومأواهم جهنم وبئس المهاد فمن يعلم. So anyways, I would recite that page and I would test myself on it, and let's say that I didn't make any mistakes, but I struggled a little bit, I found it hard, I'll click hard, for example. Now we have this other page, Allah says, so then I'll recite the next page as well. I'll test myself on the next page as well. And let's say, let's pretend that this one was good. Over here, I would say good. Then I have أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون. So these are just what you're seeing over here is just the special cards. So you have three special cards. You have the one that says Surah Al-Fatiha, that's asking you to recite Fatiha. You have the one that says Mata Surah Al-Baqarah, that's asking you to recite the first page and a bit of the second page of Surah Al-Baqarah. And then this one over here, أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك المفلحون, is actually asking you to recite the third page of Surah Al-Baqarah and a little bit of the next page after it. So I could do it, but just to keep the video short, let's just say I did it and I found it, let's say good, for example. And I'll just click good. Then over here, so, just the same, let's say this was hard, for example. Let's say this one again, so maybe I made a mistake here. And then finally you get to the blue card. And it's going to be near the end, right? So you always want to focus on your revision first. And then when you get the blue card, make sure you've already memorized it before opening up Anki and you're able to recite it. And then just open up Anki and do it the same way you do any other card, right? قال سنشد عضدك بأخيك ونجعل لكما سلطانا فلا يصلون إليكما بآياتنا أنتما ومن تبعكما الغالبون. Um, and it's the same way. ونجعل لكما سلطانا فلا يصلون إليكما بآياتنا أنتما ومن تبعكما الغالبون فلما جاءهم موسى بآياتنا بينات قالوا ما هذا إلا سحر مفترى وما سمعنا بهذا في آبائنا الأولين وقال موسى ربي أعلم من جاء بالهدى وما تكون له عاقبة الدار إنه لا يفلح الظالمون. Anyway, so you'd recite this page and then you just rank yourself the same way you do it on any, you know, any other page. So, for example, over here, I missed a couple of words. So I made a mistake. I didn't correct myself. So I would say again. Remember, if you make any mistake, make sure to click again. Only do hard, good, or easy if you don't make any mistakes. um, uh, any uncorrected mistake. I mean, if you make a mistake, then you quickly correct yourself without being corrected, then that's fine. But if you make a mistake, you don't correct yourself, then you should probably click again. Over here, I click again. And then now the cards that I've made a mistake on, I click again, they're coming again. And I just keep on reviewing it. So I'll say maybe, I'll test myself on this. Let's say this was good, and then I test myself on this. This is hard. I test myself on this. Let's say this is easy. I test myself, and this is good. And congratulations, you have finished this deck for now, meaning that my daily review is done, and I am able to go about my day. And I have done all of the work that I need to do today. So the important thing for me to do now is to sync, and so I'm gonna push. So now all of my review is synced to the cloud and updated, and I can close Certil and close Anki, and just go about my day and not worry about revision. I'm done my revision for today. I want to do it like this. Anyway, so you can use an app like Tertil.ai. Tertil.ai is very impressive. At the same time, makes some mistakes, and you have to pay for some of the advanced features. So it's one way to do it. Another way to do it is a voice recorder or having a friend test you, which is it's hard to find a friend to stick with you, but maybe you'll be able to find a friend or a spouse or a child or a parent or something. Or, another thing is you can test yourself with the page open but not looking at it, double checking if you have any doubt. A lot of Hafad use this method. And how to rate your recitation. So I kind of talked about it when I was showing you how I'm doing the review session. But the most important rule is that if you make any mistakes on the page without correcting yourself, you must mark the page as again. If you don't do this, then Anki will assume that the page is good, and it's not gonna schedule it properly. Even though the page has mistakes, it's gonna mark them as easy, and it's gonna give it a long interval, a low frequency, a long interval before you see the page again, and you'll never be able to correct your mistakes. So if you make mistakes, then you must mark the page as again. If you don't make any mistakes, then based on how you feel, mark the page as hard, good, or easy. And try to be consistent in how you rate the pages, but don't sweat it. Uh, the first rule is the most important, but regarding hard, good, or easy is just based on, your personal standards and how you feel personally. That I'm happy about my performance on this page. I'm not happy about that page. That page was easy. That page was hard. So that's, more of a personal feeling thing. But this first rule is an objective rule that if you make any mistakes on the page without correcting yourself, you must mark the page as again. Okay, so let's just talk about a few common mistakes with Anki. First thing is you should do your best never to skip a day. If you skip a day, the revision piles up. If you skip a few days or weeks, you might have to spend many hours to catch up. It's fine to skip new cards, however. So yeah, new cards, if you're really busy one weekend or you're on vacation or something, you don't want to memorize new cards, that's fine. Just set them to 0 through the options like I showed you. But your revision you should do. Are you in Hajj? Come on, you have a lot of free time in Hajj. You need to do your revision. Are you on vacation in Hawaii? You know, Allah is the Lord of Hawaii as well. You need to revise in Hawaii. Wherever you go, whatever you're doing, are you on a road trip? Take some time, stop, do your revision. Every single day, try to do your revision. Don't skip it. And one horrible mistake that I've seen is, some people will sometimes try to take a month or two, you know, take a break from Anki for a month or two, and they'll come back and they'll see that now they have to revise 200 pages or something, and it'll be very difficult and they won't be able to do it. So with Anki, it's very important to open it every day and do your revision and be consistent. And to make it easier to be consistent, that's why I try to encourage people to choose a low number of new cards per week, where it's easy for you to keep up with the daily revision. So don't, maybe one a day might be too much unless you're really dedicated and willing to spend an hour or two a day to, memorize one page a day, But if you do maybe on the weekends, 2 pages a week might be more manageable. Or what you could do is you could do 1 page every 2 days. So that might be, more manageable as well. And you'd still memorize the Quran in about 3.5 years. So don't forget to sync your progress continuously. This is another important thing that it happens all the time, that people lose their devices, or they get stolen or lost or damaged, or they fall in the water or something. So if you sync, that's not a big issue. You can just sign into Anki Web on your new device, and you'll get all of your changes, all of your progress, and all of your cards updated on your new device, and you won't have to set everything up from scratch. But if you don't sync, then you have to go through this whole process again. And more importantly, all of the ratings about which pages are easy and which pages are hard, and when this page should be scheduled and when that page should be scheduled, all of it will be lost, and you're going to have to build all of that up from scratch, which is a lot of effort and a lot of time to build up that personalized review schedule. So you really don't want to lose that, so make sure you sync. And finally, remember, consistency is the key to success. The best of actions is that which is consistent, even if it's small. So try to be consistent, try to be constant, try to always do your Anki, never skip, always do your revision, and inshallah you will be successful, and inshallah you will become a hafid. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you for attending. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this beneficial for you. If you have any questions, uh, you can contact me. So my email is here. I'll show you over here. ayub.omar@gmail.com. You can contact me at this email and ask any questions, and I will respond, insha'Allah ta'ala. Jazakumullahu khairan. And I hope this was beneficial. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.